Welcome back, everybody. Today, we are going over, thanks to AG Tactical, the YouTube channel who provided this to me, the police reports that have now been released regarding the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf incident. Of course, Carmelo Anthony is a teenager who has been arrested for first-degree murder in the state of Texas. I'll tell you what I know. This is all alleged, but this is just what I've heard from what I've seen. But I think we're going to get a lot more information once we dive into these police reports. So basically, from what I understand, there was a high school track meet taking place. Austin Metcalf was a young man who was from one high school. Carmelo Anthony, and Austin Metcalf was a young white man. Carmelo Anthony was a young black man. That seems to play a major role in this whole situation, according to many people. Carmelo Anthony, I believe if he wasn't from the same school, he was from a rival school. Now, Carmelo Anthony was under the tent. If you've ever been to a track meet, my older sister ran track in high school, so I went to a lot of those. I know how those work and what they look like. There are tents all over the places with schools and whatnot. Carmelo Anthony was in a tent, and Austin Metcalf approached him and said, "You're not supposed to be in this tent. You got to leave." Apparently, Carmelo Anthony said, "I'm not leaving. Make me leave. What are you going to do about it?" Austin Metcalf took on the challenge and allegedly pushed Carmelo Anthony, wanting to make him leave the tent that he's not supposed to be in. Carmelo Anthony then reached into his book bag, or was reaching into his book bag during the time that he got pushed, and was threatening Austin, saying, "If you don't put your hands on me. I'm warning you, don't put your hands on me." Austin shoved him. Carmelo pulled out a knife, stabbed him one time in the chest, killing Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf died in the arms of his brother. Carmelo Anthony has been arrested for murder. He is now out on bond. Now that his bond has been reduced from $1 million, I believe, down to $250,000, there has been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars raised on GoFundMe for Carmelo Anthony. And so his bond was able to be paid. Now, Carmelo Anthony's team is claiming self-defense. Everyone on the opposing side is saying this was not self-defense, this was murder, possibly even premeditated murder. That's what I know. That being said, let's go ahead and dive into exactly what all the police reports say and what we hear from officers and witnesses combined.
He said, "I'm going to come over and see you this weekend." I said, "Okay, I look forward to it." He said, "I love you, Dad." I said, "I love you too, son." Those were the last words I ever heard from him.
We were just one person. We did everything the same. We were just exactly alike. We had a couple of differences, but most of the stuff we did together, the stuff we had, we felt as one person. So it's just like we just connected so well in everything we did.
His commitment, his work ethic was about football. The boy stayed in the gym. He led the team. He was the leader. He was the glue. He was the driving force of that defense. He carried that team.
Every time we go to the gym, I get stronger, I get better, I get faster. I got an accomplishment in the weight room for football, and then Austin's smile just popped up. It was just so proud of me. He just gave me the biggest hug.
He was on his way to becoming a super positive impact in this world. It's not right. You should never bury your children. It's a very unfortunate, tragic outcome, not only for this family, but I feel for the family of the assailant, because his life is over.
So here we go. We have about 7 pages of police reports. Here we have his mugshot. Anthony, Carmelo Sincere Anthony. What an ironic middle name. Sincerely, he says he did not mean to kill Austin Metcalf. Okay. Now, he is a black male, age 17, height 5'9", weight 130. I will tell you now, if he goes to prison for murder, for the amount of time that murder carries, at 5'9", 130, boy, listen, you better start doing some push-ups. And I will be making a video here soon about what the prison experience of Karmelo Anthony will be, assuming if he does get found guilty for murder and gets sent to a Texas prison. I mean, we're going to make a whole video about that and get some Texas inmates to weigh in about how they feel about Karmelo and just everything that goes into what would happen to him in prison if he would even survive. So he does have a job. He works at HEB. He's a cashier. So here's the incident. This is for first-degree murder. This happened on April 2nd, 2025. Officer Eduardo Cortez, he says, I, Staley School Resource Officer Eduardo Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call about a stabbing call at David Q. Kendall Stadium. FPD call notes indicated that an athlete was stabbed. The suspect was reported as being a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. I immediately left my office and ran across Staley Middle School parking lot towards a southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, 2 high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent. I did not identify these students, probably because he was in a rush, thinking he could possibly save the life of the victim. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, the visitor's side, on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness. The individual was pointed out to me, was a black male wearing a gray hooded sweater and dark colored Nike pants. The suspect at this point was on the track of the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me and the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, I was protecting myself. Oof. I mean, hey, on one hand, that is stupid to say. Remember, people, you have the right to remain silent, but also, if you murdered this guy in cold blood, then I'm glad that you gave any information possible that will help the prosecution in court convict you. He says, it should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. Yeah, so he's already admitting that he was directly involved in that. I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said he put his hands on me. I then... Same thing, brother. You're giving up a lot of information with just a few words. But hey, if you're guilty, I'm glad you incriminated yourself. I then detained the suspect in handcuffs and had him sit down on the ground. Officer Ricci had arrived on scene at that time. I conducted another pat down of his person and then searched his person after he gave me consent. No weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responds and says, I'm not alleged. I did it. Oh, wow. Well, okay. If you say so, buddy. I appreciate that. Um, Next, Officer Ricci and I walked the suspect to patrol vehicle number 2412, which was on the northeast gate of Cure Kindle Stadium. As we were walking to the squad car, the suspect was emotional, and he said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. I searched this person once again, and I had him sit in the backseat area of patrol vehicle 2412. While the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his left middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw the blood out loud so that it would be captured on the body-worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me, "Is he going to be okay?" while he was in the back seat. Now, with that being written in the statement, it does bring me to believe that this wasn't such a heinous crime, unless, listen, this is all speculation on my end. I don't know, but I wasn't there. I'm not in the minds of him and Austin and everyone, but unless he was faking and just putting on an act to act more innocent than he is, which is possible. You see criminals do it every ding dang day. If we're just going by the statements he made, it seems like, hey, it was me. I did it. I'm taking accountability. Oh, he put his hands on me. I told him not to. Is he going to be okay? Is he going to be okay? And then the officer even states that he was emotional. That leads you to believe, I don't think he did this with the intention of taking the life of Austin Metcalf. Say what you want. He can be wrong. I'm not saying he was right. If you ask me, when it's all said and done and all the information has gone over, I don't think he's right. I don't think there's any excuse here. But I don't think that he heinously had this dead set intention of killing and murdering Austin Metcalf. But hey, when people drink and then get in their car and drive, and they're driving drunk, and then they swerve and they hit some innocent person or family and kill them, hey, did that drunk person have the intention of killing a family? Did they want to go kill a family? No. Does that mean they shouldn't be held accountable and face repercussions for their irresponsible actions? Of course they should. Of course they should. And so that's kind of where I stand on this. So far, let's keep reading. Now, it should also be noted that the suspect asked me, is he going to be okay, while he was in the back seat. I then identified the suspect. He provided his name and date of birth verbally as Karmelo Anthony, black male, with a date of birth of redacted, which I ran through FPD dispatch. Officer Hancock arrived on scene and remained with me and the suspect at this point. Karmelo was then checked via eSchool database for FISD. Frisco, I'm assuming that's Frisco School District students, to also confirm his identity. The identifying information he provided matched the individual I had in custody, Karmelo Anthony. Next, I advised Sergeant Holland to transport the subject to Frisco PD jail. Officer Hancock and I transported him to the FPD jail. Again, I did not question Karmelo about the incident. Upon arriving at the Frisco jail, Karmelo was escorted into the intake area. FPD jail staff changed him out into jail attire. I remained with jail staff the entire time that he was changed over. The clothes that Karmelo was wearing were placed into an FPD paper evidence bag. I'm assuming they probably had blood on them, or they felt that they had blood and stuff on them. The clothes remained in my possession from this point on. Upon Karmelo being placed into a jail cell, I continued to keep possession of his clothes. I returned to my patrol number 2412 along with the Hancock, which was in the FPD Sallyport, and placed Karmelo's clothes in the back trunk area. I drove patrol vehicle 2412 out of the Sallyport and parked the squad car in the FPD patrol parking area. Karmelo's clothes remained in the trunk. FPD crime scene technician Dillard then took possession of the clothes. I added my body-worn camera to the case, and I have no further information to report. Wow. That's a lot of information. Let's see what the other officers testified to in their statements. See what else we can learn. This is Officer Ricci. He says, I was wearing a full police uniform, operating on a fully marked vehicle, dispatched the report of a stabbing at the high school stadium. I was advised an athlete had been stabbed. The suspect described as a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. Responded Code 3 from the area of El Dorado Parkway. I arrive on scene approximately 1005 hours. When I arrive, I approached the track and field area, saw Officer Cortez kneeling next to a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. The male, identified as Karmelo Anthony, was in handcuffs and was seated on the sidewalk entrance. Let's see. As he approached, Karmelo Anthony made a spontaneous statement saying, I'm not alleged, I did it, which matches up with the other officer's testimony. They did a pat-down search, no weapons, nothing of evidentiary value. Him and the other officer walked Karmelo to the patrol vehicle, sat him down. Karmelo Anthony makes another statement saying, asking if what happened could be considered self-defense. Interesting. So, and in that case, it's like, why are you so concerned already about self-defense? Like you're already looking to cover your tracks. I mean, what's going on here? I replied by telling Anthony I did not know what happened. It should be noted that in-car camera in my patrol vehicle was activated prior to Anthony being placed in my vehicle. When Anthony was placed in that car, he noticed that Anthony had blood on his left middle finger. He grabbed his camera, took a picture, uploaded the picture to the crime scene folder. And that's about it. Now, Officer Will Oatis. He says he got dispatched, yada, 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 arrives on scene, looking for the guy, same description. This is all taking place on the visitor side of the stadium. He arrived, began assisting the victim trainers and the other parties. Okay. The other officer advised over the radio that he already had the suspect in custody. Now, so Sergeant Oatis says, let's see, we're skipping over all this mumbo jumbo. Same thing we already heard. He walked up to the visitor bleachers, observed the victim being treated by Frisco Fire Department personnel and the athletic trainers. Weather began to turn, started raining. They moved the victim they moved the tent to cover the victim. Started using city-issued phone to snap crime scene photos, preserve all of that. Eventually, one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on the bleachers still, talking about the knife. That a knife that was used in this stabbing was tossed, and they still believed it to be somewhere close. So one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on the bleachers. So Officer Showles was able to locate it. It was located between rows 9 and 10 near seat 30. So that's interesting. If you're so like, oh, this is self-defense. Oh, I'm so emotional. Is he okay? I didn't mean to. Oh my gosh, he touched me. This is self-defense. I had no choice. Why toss the murder weapon? Why toss the murder weapon? Keep it on you. Go up and hold and accept full responsibility. Give your full account of what happened because you know you're in the right. Don't toss the murder weapon. Automatically, that's going to be seen as very suspicious. So now things change yet again. I'm telling you, it's like a roller coaster here. If I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, but to be honest, it sounds like what it sounds like. Karmelo came into a tent that he technically wasn't supposed to be in. Austin was kind of on some macho guy stuff and was like, hey man, you can't get it. You gotta go. You gotta leave. Karmelo being another young man. These are 17-year-olds in high school surrounded by their peers, probably chicks and their fellow friends, their buddies, their peers. There's a lot of egos and masculinity at play here. It's like, hey, man, you can't be here. You got to move. And so Karmelo snaps back, man, move me then. So Austin bucks up a little bit, maybe puts his hands on him. But all the while, Karmelo is reaching in his bag. And to be honest, as a guy, I've been there. I've been around those types of people. When I was in high school, everybody wanted to be tough. I can tell you this. Karmelo reaching in his bag and saying, don't put your hands on me. I'm warning you, don't put your hands on me. He 100% absolutely was hoping to convince Austin that he had a gun and hoping that he would back down. But when Austin didn't back down and put his hands on Karmelo, Karmelo said, oh, okay, all right, plan B, because I don't really have a gun, but I do have a knife. Here's the knife. Boom, hit him one time. And here's the thing about a knife. I've done 10 years in prison. I've seen people with the full intention to murder someone with a shank, with a knife, stab someone over and over and over and over 10, 20, 30, 40 times. You see true crime all the time. This man stabbed his girlfriend 144 times. Look at, what is his name? Look at the guy who stabbed the cheerleader. What was his name? Young kid. Just got sentenced last year. Stabbed a cheerleader classmate, 144 times? Why does it take 144 stabs to kill someone? You hear people stabbing someone tens, if not hundreds of times. And sometimes they don't even die. And they have every intention of killing them with this knife. And then you have people who really, I don't have the intention of killing you. I want to seem like I do. I want to look tough. I want to act like a bad boy and seem like I'm really tough like that and scary and like get a reputation from that. And stab you once, maybe twice, with no intention of killing you. And I've seen people you nick just the wrong spot and the person's dead. And now that person they're looking sick. They're pale as a ghost. They did not mean to do this. Their whole life is over. They never wanted this, but their ego took it out of hand. And so that's what I see here. I don't think Karmelo was a stone cold killer, but he's a victim of wanting to be a tough guy. And you could even say, Austin, hey, listen, man, you didn't have to buck up. These are two young men who have egos. But at the end of the day, Karmelo Anthony, if you got shoved legally, technically, what is the right thing to do? You got shoved. Take that momentum of the shove and use it to continue walking away in the other direction. Leave the tent. Leave the tent. And there's a lot of people who are fired up. He shouldn't have to leave the tent. Well, listen here, brother. You can leave the tent and have the rest of your young life to live and forget about that moment, even if you feel like you took a hit to your ego. Or you cannot leave the tent, stab this kid, and now okay. I hope your ego carries you far when you go to prison and there are 48-year-old men assaulting you because you are a 5'9", 130-pound pipsqueak. And you're not going to do that to them boys. I can guarantee you that. So was it all worth it? Really? But these young kids, man, they don't think about that. You don't think about it until it's too late. That's the problem here. And ultimately, no matter what reason it happened for, or what the egos, or these young men, and everybody wants to be tough, and their respect and their pride, the law is the law. And I feel like he's going to get a long time in prison for murder. But, Texas is a stand your ground state. He apparently stabbed him once and ran away, according to another report we're about to see here soon from a witness. Let's just keep reading. Now, Officers on scene were informed that the knife that was used was tossed and was still believed to be somewhere close. Eventually, one of the witnesses, okay, we already went through that. Sergeant assisted in preserving the immediate crime scene as much as possible while the other personnel tended to the victim and eventually transported him. At around this time, Officer Wetzel's Pretzels, had the crime scene log and began logging the individuals on the call to the best of his abilities. Lieutenant Crawford and Pemberton relieved Sergeant Oatis of the scene. Sarge went back to the police department, downloaded his body cam and all the pictures that he took. Big Dog Oatis turned his phone in, and it had about 33 photos and all that good stuff. During the download, the initial photos, formatting, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Not important. Officer Wetzel says he arrived, started doing the crime scene tape, walked towards the bleachers. He got approached by a witness who identified himself as redacted to protect their identity, probably a minor. They began telling him what happened. I asked him where the stabbing occurred, and he advised it happened under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. I immediately informed Sergeant Oatis where the witness stated the stabbing occurred and gave him the crime scene tape to start securing the crime scene. I then had redacted move to the walkway under the visitors' bleachers out of the rain to further speak with me. The following is a summary of my contact with that guy. Advised he was sitting under the Memorial High School pop-up tent with his team and was near the victim, Austin, and the suspect, Karmelo Anthony. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, reached inside, and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." That's a threat. Right now, no matter how you want, if you want to say it's bravado, ego, masculinity, whatever, Austin told him, and these are school rules. I know how these things work. I'm very familiar with track meets because it runs in my family. You're not supposed to be under that tent if you're not from that school. Austin told him, you need to move. You're not supposed to be here. Karmelo reached in his bag and said, touch me and see what happens. No one really thought Anthony really had weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony. And then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. So I'm guessing Austin either grabbed him or shoved him a little bit. Seems to be the main move that white guys like to use. They like to do a little push. Very ineffective, but I don't know why they love to do that, but they love to just do a big shove. I think it's stupid, but it's what white guys love to do. And so he shoved him, and then Karmelo says again, is like, you know what? Punch me and see what happens. So a short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what this guy recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. And see, I guarantee you, Karmelo Anthony is going to try to use that right there, that account. I stabbed him once and ran away. I mean, you could have stabbed him, dropped him. I mean, the guy's dying from this wound, stood over him, and yeah, just all that stuff that you see people do a lot when they take somebody down in an altercation. But he didn't do that. He hit him once and ran away. But here's the thing. You didn't have to stab him in order to run away. If Austin shoved you, you could have just used that momentum to continue going backwards, turn around and run away. But, young 17-year-old high school boys, when they're surrounded by all these people, they're not going to do that. Rumors spread, just like in prison. It's the same thing as high school. Rumors spread. Oh, did you see what happened to Karmelo? Anthony told him to get out of his tent and shoved him, and he did. He's a lame. He's a loser. He's a nerd. He's a dweeb. He's scared. He's a dork. And, young boys aren't going to go for that. And young boys are not going to think ahead and say, oh, if I pull a knife out and stab this guy and kill him, literally I'm going to be a piece of crap for the rest of my life. I'm going to go to prison, and I'm never going to amount to anything. So I'm going to spend the next 30 years or more, if not life, in prison, possibly death penalty. So, yeah. Austin grabbed Anthony, told him to move. Anthony pulled out a knife, stabbed him in the chest, ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Redacted advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member, Redacted, was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. Redacted described Anthony as a black male, skinny and possibly a goatee, short puffy hair, and wearing a Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with Redacted. I was then instructed to start a crime scene log, and so that's pretty much what I did. Officer Hancock says, he got dispatched, pulled up on the scene. He got to the scene, had a couple other officers telling him what was going on, and he saw the suspect. And basically, Hancock got there, pretty late, and everything had already been done, and there was no need for Hancock to even be there. Officer Fisher says that he pulled up, and he made contact with a witness. And the witnesses were breathing heavily and crying due to the events that had just taken place. They were with coaches on the field. It was pouring down rain. So the officer said, let's all move out of the rain. Let's go in the locker room. Let's calm everybody down a little bit. But it didn't really work. Everybody was still hysterical, couldn't really even talk. So he still tried to ask them what happened. Couldn't really get anything out of his brother, Hunter, Austin Metcalf's brother, Hunter Metcalf. Hunter is the brother who Austin died in his arms. Hunter held his brother as he died in his arms. But Hunter did say he wanted to speak. He just needed to keep calming down a little bit before he could. So he asked him what happened. Hunter says they were sitting in the bleachers under the tent. Another male who he didn't know walked over, sat under the tent. Austin said that Hunter says that his brother Austin told this guy that since he didn't go to Memorial High School, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth arguing, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Hunter said that during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag he had. And it was at this time the male took out a knife and stabbed Austin, then left the scene. This was all Hunter remembered when he talked to me. So it's interesting because you could even say that, according to Hunter, if Austin is arguing with this guy as they're arguing and he's telling me he needs to leave the tent, he's saying this is going on as they're arguing. So we don't know. Maybe he tells him, hey, Karmelo, you need to leave the tent. You're not supposed to be here, which is true. Number two, buddy, you're a student at a school event. I don't give a crap. You shouldn't have a weapon, period. There is too much stuff going on at schools for you to be coming to school with a knife in your backpack just for that. I mean, that's expulsion off top. If you get caught with that, you shouldn't have that. There's no reason to have that. That might kill your whole case right there. You shouldn't even have that at school. It's not allowed. It's illegal. It's against the law. If you have a knife at school, it's to do harm to people with. Period. You do not get to bring weapons to school. Now, if they're just arguing, and he says throughout this argument, Karmelo keeps reaching in his bag saying, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. Watch what happens. See what happens. I'm telling you, I'm warning you, if you touch me, watch what happens. Austin might have thought he was in danger. So now my mind kind of leans the other way again. Austin could have thought he was in danger. Man, this guy might have a gun. There's school shootings going on left and right throughout this country. And let's be honest, if someone reaches in a book bag and says, touch me and watch what happens, are you going to be like, oh, they have a knife? Or are you going to be like, man, I think he's got a gun? Come on. Any sane person, anyone with survival instincts, I'm going to assume you have a gun. I'm going to assume that this is the most dangerous situation because I have survival instincts. Austin could have thought he had a gun. He's like, you know what? And so then at that point, he grabs hold of him, maybe even pushes him to get away, grabs him to stop him. Hey, stop that. What are you doing? Like, now it's become a whole nother situation. But at that point, Karmelo pulls out the knife, boom, hits him in the chest, and it's over with, right in the heart. Instantly, Austin knows something. This is bad. This is bad. And that's why Austin says, man, get help. Get help now. He knows this is fatal. And it was. I don't really see how you argue self-defense here with all this information. Karmelo Anthony here's the thing, at the end of the day, you should never have that knife at school. Number one, first and foremost, if you're out in public and you're a grown man and whatever, and you have a weapon in Texas, you're allowed to have it, stand your ground, all that stuff. You're at school in a opposing school's tent, which you're not supposed to be in, according to the rules. So an athlete who is supposed to be under that tent informs you, hey, you shouldn't be here. And you buck up, reach in your bag, move me, watch what, move me. But if you touch me, I'm warning you, watch what happens. So who knows? Maybe Austin thought he was saving his fellow peers, athletes, classmates. This guy's unhinged. You shouldn't have a weapon in the first place. No telling what this guy plans to do. And so he grabs him to stop him and unfortunately loses his life because of it. This is murder. Don't think there's really any debate here. Yeah. And I mean, that's about the size of it. I mean, they took a lot of statements from witnesses, but they don't have those statements. Maybe we'll get our hands on those here soon. I know Phone Calls from Prison is working diligently to get any jail calls that were made and placed by Karmelo Anthony. You know, they're the masters of that. So if we get them, it'll be because of them. Just kind of looking. I mean, we're looking. It's pretty much all the same stuff here on these other things. Talking about putting Austin in a body bag, the nurses. A sad thing altogether. Just awful. Senseless. But you better believe I'm going to be following this, and every new piece of evidence that comes out, we're going to be on top of it. So I hope you'll follow along with me. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about all this? I mean, this is one of the most controversial incidents on the internet right now across every social media. It is so politically, racially, and more charged. So let me know in the comments. Please be respectful. No hate. Give your opinion is always welcome, but let me know what you think. Other than that, there's the police reports. Thanks again to AG Tactical, and I will see you next time.